Hello and what is up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. In this video we're going to be following Puppy's player perspective in a game against Mouse Sports. I believe this was in the PGL Bucharest minor qualifiers. I think it was in the finals, the EU qualifiers, but that's not really relevant. Puppy has been playing a lot of Chen recently, and he's been winning a lot with it. It's almost first ban now, I'm pretty sure, for most teams who are facing up against Secret. The thing is, with the new patch coming out, who knows when things might change. Chen might be worse than he is now, or he might be better, but I think that the way that Secret play Chen right now, especially Puppy's play style, is really interesting, and this is just a little bit of a video analyzing it and giving you a little bit of a guide on how to play Chen in 7.06, according to Puppy, that is. We're going to close this here, all this clutter. We're going to be sticking on Puppy's player perspective for most of this game. I'm going to probably speed through most of the parts. One thing to note is he starts right off in the big camp here on the bottom side. So he wants to be as close to the lane that he's rotating to with his first creep as possible. Notice that he didn't start in the jungle over here. He started right here and got himself a nice satyr. Thing is, Chen is a hero that you have to be pretty adaptable when playing, because of course the creep spawns are random and you don't really know what creeps you can really depend on. Like, that could have been any big creep there, but it just so happened to be a satyr, and it's not a bad creep for harassing at level 1. Notice you have the satyr blast, and I'll actually have to go to free cam because you can't click on the creep spawn in player perspective, unfortunately. But it starts with 400 mana, and the shockwave costs 100 mana, of course. So that is 4 cast of it, not counting the mana regen that it has passively, 1 mana regen per second. So you should be able to get pretty much 4 blasts out of it, and then it'd be an extra 1 as the regen adds up over time. And notice he's just using the first creep here to zone out Madara. One thing about Nature's Prophet is he's already a really strong laner. Notice that Fada went for the Orb of Venom, and Puppy, he's not even going to wait for the creep to regen for that last blast. Wait, did he though? Yeah, he doesn't. It had like 20 mana left for it to be able to cast another shockwave, but it doesn't even bother waiting 20 seconds. He'll actually dominate another satyr, and this is one thing that I was talking about Chen being adaptable, is being able to just pick up creeps on the fly and thinking of ways to use them and how to effectively harass lanes or gank with them. So right here, notice he's going to peel the creep wave off with the Chen creep. Now he's going to go for the gank onto Madara. And with the creeps being peeled by the satyr, they're going to allow it so that they can dive with their own creeps under a tower. And now Jerax will also come in here, or Yapsor, I mean, with the roll-in. And they're going to get 1 kill. And now Puppy actually gets a double kill here, I'm pretty sure. The satyr blast. It's a really nice satyr blast here. He gets the blind kill, or not blind kill actually. Double kill there with 1 Hadouken from the satyr. And this is just figuring out what creeps that spawn and how you can use them. And they realized that they could attempt this kill with the satyr, and Puppy with the micro skills gets the double kill there, securing them 3 kills in this lane. At this point, this lane is pretty much over for Mouse. They can't really contest anymore. Spirit Breaker charges in, he doesn't really do anything. And what Puppy can do is slow down the game a little bit, get a little bit of farm, come back with 2 creeps, and at that point, there's nothing that this Lycan can do. Notice he'll do just that. He's actually going to save this creep for now, as he's already eaten the creep here, or dominated the creep in the big camp. So there's only 2 small creep left, and he finds himself a Wild Wing. So now he has Wild Wing Satyr combination. Of course, these creeps are going to change depending on the game, right? In this game, it so happens that he's getting a lot of like harass creeps, not necessarily like stunning creeps, and he's gonna work with it. Of course, they were able to dive the tower there. It all started with his nice play, peeled the creep wave, and then went around with the satyr blast. Nice angles on them, got the maximum damage on the 2 heroes, and finished them both off. But now with the satyr and the Wild Wing, it's not that easy to go for another gank. Again, they have to try to dive with the creeps under the tower because they don't have any disables, so they're gonna have to spend a lot of time like hitting under tower, which means that they need a creep wave to back them up. And notice that the Lycan pretty much, he's sitting here trying to get experience, but He's having no fun trying to farm at all. And with Puppey securing this lane for his team, they're going to leave these lanes as a solo lane. And of course, Monkey King and the Ember are having trouble, but they're putting so much effort here onto shutting down the Lycan, because they realize that if Madara has a really hard time in this game, and if they get this tower really early, they can just rotate and make movements onto other lanes, and OD doesn't get strong until later on, so he's kind of a slow hero. Lycan's also a relatively slow hero before he comes online as well. So if they can just slow down one hero, then they can shut down another hero while Lycan is busy catching up. Here they get another kill onto him. Puppey with the tornado coming in clutch. Hurricane Irma has attacked the bottom lane, and now the Lycan will be dead once again. Notice he's not actually using the creeps to pressure the tower. He realizes that the Nature's Prophet will eventually get this tower. They're looking for more kills here as they smoke with the creeps as well as Yapster, and find a kill there onto SSA Spartan. NP attempted to TPN, but he realized that he wasn't needed. And eventually this tower will fall to the Nature's Prophet.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
Did the catapult die in the last wave? Nope, it's still here. So yeah, this tower should fall. NP has a bunch of treants which will tank the tower. Back to Puppey player perspective. We're going to see what he's going to do next. He's level 3 now. He did go for the point in Penitence to provide a little bit extra slow, which will allow Yapster maybe to hit the rolling boulder a little bit easier. And he is going to gear up in the mid lane right now. Of course, mid one actually has had a really hard time in this game. If you open up the last hits here, he's severely behind the OD, but I think that Secret are going to be okay with this. I realize OD, Schooner free farming at this point, he's having a really good time mid, but they're going to have mid one catch up in the jungle. The bottom lane is entirely dominated by Secret, and they know that this is enough for them to secure a huge early game advantage, because again, OD doesn't really defend towers. Puck is the only hero actually that will defend towers until AA gets level 6, and AA is already having a really hard time. This bottom lane is entirely taken over. He's level 4, Madara is level 4. It's a disaster down here. They're under pressure by this catapult. This is the 5-minute catapult, and it's still being used to pressure this tier 2. This is the power of Nature's Prophet, and this is all Puppey's doing. And now realize that he's not trying to pressure other lanes, right? He's slowed the game down significantly since getting that double kill. He's not overextending, and he's still kept these creeps alive. This is something that you have to really keep in mind with Chen, is if you lose your creeps or you end up dying somehow trying to play over aggressive, it actually sets you back real far, because then you got to spend like at least 1 or 2 minutes to regroup and get more creeps, or go back in the jungle, find creeps, farm with them, because you don't want to just like take the creep and then leave like a medium creep in the camp or something like that. That's just going to be annoying for your team later on if they want a jungle. So notice, this Satyr is the same Satyr that got the double kill. He's keeping his creeps alive. He is merciful to his creeps, doesn't throw them around willy-nilly, sends them at towers, feeds them to enemy team. I mean, he's going to honor this creep for getting that double kill in the bottom lane, and make sure that he's keeping with him, or keeping the creep with him for like a good 4 to 5 minutes now. And he's gonna be level 5 farming with these 3 creeps. Picked himself up a wolf, which actually speed up his farm rate significantly, as he'll have access to the pack leader's aura. So with these 3 creeps right now, he's just looking to farm. In the meantime, they did lose the top tower there. He did try to save Ace, but didn't manage to. Ace tried to TP out actually. It was too late for a send back, so they do lose the top tower, but notice all the action happening bottom. With just Nature's Prophet and Jerax. Mid one has caught up somewhat in the jungle. He's gonna try to go for a gank here onto Puck, but notice what Puppey's doing. He's farming up. This is something that you have to keep in mind. You need to do with Chen. I think there's multiple ways people play Chen. There's Chens that just straight AFK farm, which is no good, because then you're not putting the early pressure on the map when your hero's strong. Because really early on in the game, like, level 1 or 2 heroes are not equipped to fight against Chen creeps. I mean, just think to yourself, alright, can my hero jungle big camp at level 1? If the answer is no, most likely you're not going to be able to fight a Chen with a creep at level 1. But the other thing about Chen is a lot of people kind of get in the mode, alright, I'm going to play aggressive, I have creeps, and they're super strong, and then they get in that mindset and they keep doing that, where they don't ever slow the game down and farm up or push a lane without interacting with enemy team, because eventually your creeps get weak. Once the enemy levels up, they level up their nukes, they're going to be able to nuke down your creeps, they're going to be able to kill them. And notice that Puppey is keeping his creeps alive. And keeping your creeps alive is really important when playing Chen in the early game, because I said it before, if you play over aggressive with your creeps and you go too YOLO, you end up losing your creeps, or you dive and end up dying yourself, you're going to set yourself really far behind in terms of farm, experience, and everything, because that's more time spent having to look for creeps in the jungle, and it's less time spent farming. Notice since Puppey has 0 deaths already, he's got a bunch of kills in that bottom lane, but he hasn't had any kills recently. He's farming the jungle, being efficient, using the Wild Wing Ripper to actually push the top wave, and then jungling the 3 other creeps, and he's ignoring his team entirely, right? He realized that the advantage that he gave them in the early game was enough for them to be somewhat self-sufficient, and the rest of his team is playing without him, as he is just farming up, trying to get his Midas. And he does get a very fast Midas at 10 minutes. Now that he realized that a bunch of enemy heroes did rotate to the bottom lane to fight, they lose their Nature's Prophet, but he's moving in and goes cheekily Midas. The Lycan's creep there also rotated in there to help take down the mid tower. Wasn't really needed for that, but now he's making some movement on the map that the enemy team did rotate out, so he's not in any danger of dying, but I do expect him to walk right back into the jungle and to continue to farm it up. The thing is, Chen is pretty fast farmer when he goes to the jungle with all these creeps, right? You got the pack leader's aura, they got the attack speed aura from the tomato creep, got the armor aura, so his creeps will a little bit tankier. And he has the regen aura as well, so I think this is like the perfect creep combination if he's just trying to farm up. And he's found it, so he's kept all 4 creeps alive for now, and he's going to continue to farm up in the jungle while his team does some things on the map. And he's probably making calls or looking around. He is looking around the map, keeping himself aware of what's going on, and he's going to be efficient here and stack up a camp while he's farming up another camp. But notice this was all possible because of his early game aggression and his team's ability to take down towers, right? The bottom tower was taken down, and then Nature's Prophet continued to pressure down that bottom lane up to the tier 2, and it's just putting Mao's in a position where they have to respond to these pushes coming out from Nature's Prophet, allowing Puppey to have all the space to farm for himself. It's kind of similar to how a Caudle would play. If you guys followed GH's Caudle at TI7, GH would win the early game, use the Caudle Blast to harass out the enemy team, as well as just sometimes spam that mana onto heroes like Bristleback, where he can do the double close spray and just harass out the lane, win the lane super hard, and then he would go back and play exactly how Puppey's playing right now. He would go back into the jungle and just farm and take all this safe farm. Keep in mind, this is not the best farm on the map. He's not really taking this farm away from his team, because ideally his team doesn't want to farm this, right? Ember doesn't want to farm this, Monkey doesn't want to farm this, because this is the safe farm. And there's no need to take the safe farm, because not only do you get less gold from farming the jungle, with the recent change in the patch, right? Neutrals give less experience, they give less gold than lane creeps. His teammates, Ember Spirit, Monkey King, Nature's Prophet, they want to farm lane creeps. And they don't want to be here in the jungle. I mean, it's good farm, right? Because, I mean, it's not good farm. It's decent farm and it's safe farm, but if they can help it, they don't really want to take it. So Puppey's going to take all the safe farm. He doesn't need to be involved in these fights. He has the ultimate for that global heal, and his team can just play around the enemy team in a way where they can take advantageous fights. If the enemy team boots up as 5, of course Puppey will show up with his creep army, but as for now, they played split up, they split the map, and they got as much farm out of it as possible, and it all was a result of those early towers that they've gotten. Right? They got the tower bottom, tier 1 and tier 2, they got the tier 1 mid, and Tier 2 top, not really that important because it doesn't end up giving you that much control. It gives you good control of the shrine area and these 2 camps here, but having this tower and the mid tower specifically will give you so much control on the map, and it will allow you to just do what Puppy is doing and farm up safely, right? If you notice how Secret are able to play now, is they're just getting more and more experience advantage, and Mao's don't really have the option to do the same. Spirit Breaker AA, they can't do what Puppy's doing. Even if they had the map control to do so, they can't farm the jungle as fast as a Chen could. And this is the power of Chen, and it's how Secret is so successful with this hero, is they pretty much just have 5 cores. If you look at the net worth, Puppy ends up having equal to, if not more net worth than some of his carries, right? He has more net worth than Ace right now. He has 500 less net worth than Nature's Prophet, and this is so powerful because you just win the game with economy at the end of the day. Map control and economy is what will win you Dota. Just getting more farm, more levels, more gold than the enemy team. And first of all, you need the map control to do so, and Secret claimed it in the early game because Chen is a really good early game hero. As I mentioned before, not many heroes can fight a Chen with his 2 or 1 creeps at level 1 or 2. And once he secured the map control for his team, he made use of the map control and secured his economy. He got the Midas as his first item pickup, went ground boot straight into Midas, and he's just actually continuously farming the jungle while his team is fighting on the map. Again, they're losing heroes here and there, but they have already secured the map control as the towers are dead. They're not going to respawn. Towers don't come back alive in Dota. So even though they're getting picked off here and there, they will just out-farm Mouse, and there's not much that Mouse can do about it. Mouse can go and look for 5-man ganks. Just look at Mouse's options, right? How do they get back in this game? They can try to push towers. That's not going to work because at this point Secret is too far ahead. Most likely they're going to be able to defend if they bring all 5 heroes. So that's ruled out as an option. They don't really have the best tower station lineup either. The only real tower hitter is the Lycan. So that's definitely ruled out as an option. I mean, they're not even going to attempt that. They can go for smoke ganks, but every time they go for a smoke gank, they're not only spending 50 gold on the smoke, they're also spending their time. And every time they smoke, they're putting themselves further behind if that smoke doesn't pay off. So that's not really a viable option either, especially like if they go for a smoke and they only find, like, let's say even Yapster or Puppy, right? They find a support, they're actually gonna lose the game like that. So smoking is risky. It's definitely a way for them to get back in the game. But since Secret is playing all split up, they're never giving Mouse an opportunity to come back, right? They're just taking use of the entire map, and Mouse's only option is smoke, which is risky, or sit back and farm, get as much farm as they can. But if they go with the second option, where they just farm up, they're not putting any pressure onto Secret, because they're just farming, they're just fighting creeps or PvE. So Secret is just going to get ahead. So it's a win-win for them. They're putting themselves in a position where they have complete control of the game, and the only thing that the enemy team can do is either wait it out, hope that Secret mess up at some point, I mean, which is perfectly viable as a strategy, because I mean, if you can't do anything actively, you can just wait for the enemy team to screw up. But it's very hard to screw up in Dota when you have such a net worth advantage, right? Secret can easily ramp up to a 10k net worth advantage with just the way they're playing if Mouse go for the second option, of course, which is just waiting for Secret to screw up, because they have more map control, they can farm more places on the map, they have more heroes that can farm, which is the Chen, so they will just get more gold, and they can sit back, wait for Secret to push, or wait for Secret to go for an objective like Roshan, but they will be pretty much guaranteeing that there will be fighting at a net worth disadvantage later on in the game. And you can already see it's happening. Secret with a 4,000 net worth advantage. Puppy is still jungling. I mean, there's not much to say about this. He's been walking around farming these jungle camps for the past 8-10 minutes now. This is the most chill gameplay I've ever seen. It all started out with the early game aggression that he put onto the bottom lane. And it was only one instance, right? He didn't overplay himself. One instance, he went to the bottom lane, got that Satyr creep, killed all 3 heroes. He didn't even stay and stick around to take the tower because he knew that Nature's Prophet will take it eventually with a 5-minute catapult. He rotated out, looked for another kill or 2. I think it was only actually 1 kill there onto the AA, and then from there on, he was into the jungle entirely, just farming up and getting his gold up. Went for the Midas, went for the Aghanims. And again, you can't do this with Chen just straight off the bat, right? If you try to go into your pubs and you do this, first of all, you need a little bit of coordination with your teammates, so I wouldn't recommend this in lower MMR pubs. You might find some success with it, but maybe not, because Chen is a hero that really doesn't do anything. He pretty much relies entirely on his team, and I'm not so sure how much you rely on your team if you're playing at like 2K MMR or whatever. But anyway, it is very important that to play Chen or play like this successfully, you need to be able to secure early game for your team, and your team needs to be heroes that are somewhat self-sufficient, right? They can do things on their own. So heroes that don't fit this category are like just stagnant heroes that don't really do anything on their own. They can't find kills on their own. They're really immobile. Things that come to mind, I guess, are, let's say, like a Medusa, right? Medusa doesn't really do much. She's kind of slow. She actually wants to take the safe farm because she can't take the aggressive farm without having backup. And Puppy doesn't really want to back up his team, right? He wants to just take this farm in jungle as a Chen. So Medusa would be an example where it wouldn't fit into this type of strategy. But for an Ember Spirit, he can take all of the dangerous farm he wants. It's very hard for him to get ganked. They need to commit multiple heroes and the disables, the silences, the stuns from the Spirit Breaker to kill the Ember. So mid one, even though he had a bad start, he was able to catch up a little bit in the jungle. And then with the space that was given to him by the tower pressure coming out from Nature's Prophet, he was able to come back in the game. And from there on, he can just split push, take all the dangerous farm on the map, and then Puppy can take all the safe farm. Same thing with Nature's Prophet with having global TP. He can eye out where he wants to farm and just TP there. And Monkey King also, I mean, he's not that good of a farmer. As you see, he's actually pretty low in net worth right now, as Puppy has put himself pretty high up there. He's 3rd net worth on his team and 4th in the entire game. He has full Aghanim Scepter now, and with the Aghanims, he's going to rotate out. And notice what creeps he's been keeping, though. So right now, he has the Wolf Creep, as well as the Frost Mage, and a Dragon. So and then the Golem as well. So before, he was just farming with the creeps that he had before, which was the was it Wild Wing, the Tomato, and the Wolf, as well as a Satyr. And now he's switched it up, and he's showing that he wants to play a little bit more with his team now that he has this Aghanim. So he's kind of done farming. He's hit this first big milestone after his Midas, the Aghanim Scepter. He still has a couple of items to buy. He can buy his utility items for his team, the mech, the pipe. But now he can give himself, his team, even his creeps armor with this Frost Mage. What is this? I do not want to play in your low prio. So he can also give bonus HP with the Golem, and then the Dragon can just be used to split push. So he's keeping these 3 creeps with him as the kind of aura providers, and then the Dragon will allow him to push lanes. So now he's going to give up some of the safe farm for his team, as he could actually take some of the dangerous farm without putting any risk to himself. And the only thing he's risking is this Dragon, but it's fairly hard to kill. It's super tanky at this point in the game, and there's not anyone on mouse that can really kill it. So the Dragon will be able to pressure the lanes, and being able to pressure the lanes is really important, because if you don't pressure the lanes, you're not going to be able to take the safe farm. Because if the lanes are constantly being pushed under your towers, you're going to have to defend them, and then you're at risk of getting ganked, because some heroes are going to have to defend the towers. You don't want to, of course, sit all the heroes behind the tower, because that's just a waste of your time. But if you're trying to jungle, while some heroes are standing under towers with creeps, you might just get ganked in the jungle. So Mao's will get a Roshan here. It doesn't look like Secret are interested in contesting at all. And he actually trades in his dragon here
Radiant's top
for
tower is
the
officially denied.
what's this creep called? Thunderhide, I believe. The ancient Thunderhide. So Thunderhide has multiple uses. It's actually really strong in terms of pushing, as the Frenzy or Fury, whatever it's called, Frenzy, is a pretty strong ability. It has 100% uptime, costs 50 mana, and gives your teammates 75 attack speed, which is a lot. And even with Mao's having Aegis, Secret are not afraid of them, because they know that they're ahead in net worth at this point, and they're incredibly strong with what they have, the heroes they have. Just because if you look at the supports, they just get wiped out. OD does have a BKB here. He's going to try to turn this engagement around. He'll probably get 1 kill, maybe 2. Yeah, so Ace does fall, but now that's OD's Aegis gone. The supports, of course, were knocked out before they can do anything. And OD is left alone. He's completely surrounded, and this is a disaster. The thing about OD against Ember is OD's actually good against Ember in the laning stage, but later on, Ember does give OD a hard time, because not only is Ember really mobile, mitigates some of the magic damage, of course, from like the OD ultimate. He is being affected by the mana burn, is going to annoy him a little bit, but the fact that he could also jump around the fight and then root the OD, preventing him from auto-attacking, is a huge deal, and they turn that smoke gank into a potential Rax at this point. I don't think they'll actually get the Rax. They'll probably get a tier 3, depending on what Mao's want to do here. Of course, their OD and Puck are still dead. They do have buyback. They've already committed their BKBs, their cooldowns, so I don't think it would be wise buying back, because if they buy back, come in the fight without their abilities, and then die, they're probably just giving the game away to Secret at that point. But either way, they will lose the Rax here, as there's actually a Necrobook onto the Nature's Prophet. Puppy will continue to just buff up his teammates. He's giving everyone ice armor. He's trying to keep his creeps alive. He's actually TP'd home. He did lose a couple of his creeps here. What the heck? Hold on a second. Is this the enemy Necrobook? What?
Radiant's middle tower
Oh,
is under
wait,
attack.
it was Liking's Necrobook, and then Puppy dominated it. Alright, I was confused there. I thought it was Nature's Prophet's Necrobook. Alright, that makes sense now.
Radiant's middle tower is
That's why
under
he
attack.
lost his wolf. Yeah, it's pretty sick being able to use Holy Persuasion on the Necrobook from the Lycan. He'll want to find another wolf, though. The wolf is just really value. Buffs up his whole team and the creeps as well. So these creeps are ideal for sieging, right? These are the creeps that you want when you are just trying to maximize your effectiveness in terms of helping out your team. And Chen is a hero that's weird, because when you're playing behind with Chen, the hero feels awful. When you're playing ahead, or when you're ahead with Chen, you're just like, you just see how Puppy was in this game. He's actually spent like 10 whole minutes or more farming Zagas in the jungle. It feels super good when you're ahead with Chen, because you can just farm the jungle, push the lanes, you know, find opportunities to get your farm out, and then you just run around with these huge creeps. You have all the map control in the world because you are ahead, and I mean, you have a lot of options. But when you're behind with Chen, you're stuck in base, and there's not much that you can do. And I think being able to utilize your map control and not overplaying your advantage is something that is really important with this hero. You want to minimize your deaths, because every time you're dead, you're going to most likely lose your creeps at that point, because then you can't like call them out or save them or anything like that. So losing your creeps and dying, is the biggest thing to avoid when you're playing Chen. I mean, at all costs, you want to keep yourself alive, and then second to that, you want to keep your creeps alive, because your creeps are actually really important, because every time you have to go look for a new one, you're putting yourself off the map, or you're spending time doing something that is not really productive, right? If you can keep your creeps alive, you're either constantly farming, or you're pushing a lane, you're going for a gank, or you're doing something. But if you have to waste time look for another creep, you're just wasting that time, and then you're not being maximum effectiveness. of your hero, of course, and you're not being useful with your time. Well, at this point, I would say this game is not over yet for Mouse, but they're going to be stuck in their base at this point. They can smoke out or try to group out and do something as 5, as it looks like they're doing in the bottom lane. Notice Puppy is still split here with his team. I think he's really looking for another Alpha Wolf, and he's still farming up. He knows that he doesn't really need to be with his team at this point. He's just trying to get his farm up. He'll probably trade his golem here for a dragon. Yeah, he will. And he sees a opportunity to go for a fight. Of course, with Chen, he can TP in and help the change to the Test of Fate. He can bring all his creeps to him, and he has the armor aura from the Wild Wind as well as the ice armor. You see him do these creeps. He already got 1 kill here. The BKBs were forced. Unfortunately, he gets all his mana burned, so he's actually not doing much of anything. He might actually die. Now he's fine. They force Malice back. They get 2 kills. Top tower was taken, and Puppy will have to go Shrine up. And I'm going to speed up through the rest of the replay. There's not much actually, but this is a pretty standard Chen game for Puppy, and it just shows what you're able to do with the hero with the right heroes on your team, right? Keep in mind, you have to have the right heroes. Every hero on your team has to be self-sufficient. If you look at the drafts that Puppy picks, with the Chen, he goes for heroes that can really push lanes by themselves or can do things on their own, right? You don't want heroes that are dependent on another hero or the Chen in general to get things done, right? You want heroes that can do things on their own, find solo kills on their own, if it's like on a support or something like that, and make use of aggressive farm on the map. So Ember fits that category, Nature's Prophet fits that category, and Monkey King doesn't really fit that category, but he can hold his own, right? He definitely has mobility with his Tree Dance and his Boundless Strike, what's it called? Primal Spring. And he definitely has mobility around the map. He can flash farm fairly well as well using the Primal Spring. And it's allow Puppy to just play this macro style Chen. I mean, I think that's probably the best way to put it. Is just full macro gameplay from Secret right now, using a StarCraft term where they're playing for economy. They're maximizing their farm on the map. They're getting farm on all their heroes, right? Not only their 4th position or whatever. I mean, Yapsor is even getting farm. He's the lowest farm on his team, but he has items because he's able to play around these aggressive teams teammates like the Ember Spirit and the Nature's Prophet. He's able to get ganks. Of course, he won't be able to farm as much as Puppy does, but he's going to get his items up because of the nature of Dota. If they have the map control, you're going to be able to find more ganks. You're going to find more opportunities to farm, and that's why having the early towers and having early map control is so important right now in Dota. I feel like the only heroes that can really deal with this early pressure playstyle are heroes that can either just full-on team fight, so it doesn't matter how much map control you have, you can just always win the game just doing a team fight, which is kind of what Mouse is going for. But as you see, it's really hard, even with the better team fighting lineup, to take team fights when you're 10,000, even just like 5,000, 7,000 net worth behind, especially when like the enemy supports have so much farm and you kind of have to play the fight perfectly, right? With the macro playstyle that Secret has created here, they've won every single qualifier because enemy teams have to wait for Secret to mess up. They don't have the control of the game in their hands, right? They either wait for Secret to mess up or look for risky plays because Secret dominate the early game, get the early objectives. It's kind of really similar to how Liquid played at TI7 actually. They're just setting themselves up for success, and for enemy teams to match it, they either have to figure out how to play against Secret in the early game, which they've figured things out already at this point with the Chen. So teams are just banning it out, and I watched a game where OG tried to counter it, but it just didn't work out. The way they play the early game right now is probably best in EU, if not the world right now. No team is close to this. And I do think that they're going to be a fairly strong team heading in towards the season. I hope you guys enjoyed this analysis, and I'll see you all in the next one. It's a good Puppy Chen game. We got to talk a lot about Dota in general, not so much his specific Chen plays except in the early game, because most of it was just farming. The game kind of ended with just them just having such a big net worth advantage that it didn't really matter what he did at that point. His team was just going to carry the game. So I'll see you all in the next video, and peace out.